So what does the next 12 months look like?
I'll be busy.
When you say busy though, you must have in your head what you can do.
Yeah.
Are you talking 3? Are you talking 4? In the next 12 months?
I'd like to do 4.
In the next 12 months?
I'd like to do 4, yeah.
Okay.
It's probably the fight that makes sense, but we'll see what happens. You know, I still haven't talked to Tom, and you know, basically I told you, he's been incredible to work with through this whole thing, and he's like, whoever you tell me to fight, I'm fighting.
Tom Aspinall versus Francis Ngannou is reportedly a done deal, and it might just be the most terrifying matchup in UFC history. Two of the most explosive heavyweights on earth collided with one-shot knockout power. In a recent interview, Tom Aspinall shared his plans for an active year ahead. While he didn't name opponents, he made it clear that he wants to fight 3 or 4 times in the next 12 months. His focus is on staying busy and climbing higher in the heavyweight ranks.
But my goal is at least 3, maybe 4, between now and like the end of 26.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So I was going to put it even shorter period of time, like, because we're talking obviously in the middle of the summer now, right? International Fight Week's just happened. So from this point now till this point next year,
I think I'll have done 3 by then. Yeah, I think so.
are you international globe trotting? Well, do you reckon you've got enough in those conversations? I think you have, to be able to say, let's bring it back home, man. Let's do another one back home. Or do you think it will be the likes of the Vegases and the New Yorks and the internationals?
It's going to be a little bit more international, at least for the first. It's not going to be in the UK, the first one.
Yeah, well, there's nothing booked in between now and the end of the year. So I'm without giving dates away and stuff like that, I'm obviously, you're going to be fighting on one of the international cards.
Yeah.
Although a fight between Tom and Francis Ngannou is the more favored one, UFC President Dana White recently mentioned Cyril Gane as the current top contender. A matchup between Tom and Cyril makes sense, especially since Tom is the type of fighter who doesn't hesitate. He's ready to face anyone the UFC offers.
And Cyril Gane is the #1 heavyweight contender, so is he most deserving of getting that title shot next?
Probably. It's probably the fight that makes sense, but we'll see what happens. You know, I still haven't talked to Tom, and you know, basically I told you, he's been incredible to work with through this whole thing, and he's like, whoever you tell me to fight, I'm fighting.
While Dana doesn't see a chance of Ngannou with Tom, Daniel Cormier adds a different perspective. He says that if Tom can get past Cyril Gane, he should have no problem beating Ngannou. Cormier pointed out that in Ngannou's first fight with Stipe Miocic in 2018, Ngannou looked lost and lacked a solid game plan, which could give Tom an edge. Cormier compares Jon versus Tom's situation to the Stipe versus Ngannou fight. However, Jon never showed up to fight.
Gun to my head, I would have said Jon Jones will beat him right now. Guess what? Tom has never been pushed into those championship rounds. Once he gets to those championship rounds, even now, say Cyril Gane pushes him 25 minutes. If he beats Cyril Gane, but he learns to go 25 minutes where that first time you feel that, yo, Tom hasn't gotten off the stool for a 3rd round.
We saw that Francis Ngannou, Stipe.
Exactly. Francis, when he fought Stipe and he went to try to knock him out, by the middle of the fight, Francis looking like he saw a ghost. You needed to fight Tom now when he doesn't have that experience,
where he's,
especially as Jon Jones.
People don't understand how effective
it's exhausting.
Exhausting that is when you come to thump.
You want to fight, but I'm just grabbing you.
Just like Tom Aspinall had been waiting for Jon Jones initially, Coach Eric Nixick explained that Ngannou had been preparing for a potential fight with Jon Jones, but that fight never came to be. According to Eric, Jon kept delaying and wasn't truly prepared to face either Tom or Ngannou.
Well, I think it's kind of a case in point to what we've been saying for a long time about the negotiations when Francis was negotiating to fight Jon back then in 2021 when we beat Stipe. We were ready to fight anyone that came to the table, but the negotiations weren't stalled on our end. So I think that now, over time, the truth comes to light, and we don't really have to say much about it. You're seeing what's going on now.
When asked about a possible fight between Francis Ngannou and Tom Aspinall, Dana White made it clear that he's not responsible for Ngannou's contract anymore. He also added that he doesn't see the fight happening, hinting that Ngannou's return to the UFC isn't likely anytime soon. The bone of contention between Dana and Ngannou can be a reason for this. Dana is unlikely to make this fight happen. He even once called Ngannou a piece of shit, so the tense relationship can be a hurdle in the Tom vs Ngannou fight.
How much interest Jon showed in the Francis Ngannou fight. Like, there was some tweets going back and forth. What would happen if he came to you and says, like, I'll fight, but I won't fight Aspinall, I would fight Ngannou? Would you even be interested in that or no?
I don't have Ngannou on her contract, and Aspinall's the guy.
Right. If you were put in the position, would you maybe try to get Ngannou back under contract, or no?
Probably not.
Adding to the uncertainty, Chael Sonnen believes Francis Ngannou's career is essentially over. He claims there's nothing left for Ngannou in the fight world, especially with the UFC moving on. This view supports Dana White's stance, making a return fight against Tom Aspinall seem even more unlikely at this point. Amid this shifting landscape, a major announcement further stirred the division. Jon Jones officially retired.
I'm not fully secure that Francis doesn't understand that from an MMA perspective, his career is all but wrapped. There is nothing on the books for him, and has been nothing on the books for him for a meaningful period of time. And it's hard to imagine that changes. It's kind of hard to imagine that Francis is going to get booked again in MMA. And the time frame, and it's kind of tough. So from that perspective, is he done? Is Francis done and he just doesn't know it? That is very possible. Yeah, that's very possible.
Suddenly, the heavyweight scene was wide open. Eric pointed out that Tom Aspinall is a more athletic and well-rounded fighter, and sees him as a serious challenge for anyone in the division. With Jon stepping away, Tom's path to the top might be clearer than ever.
The fight itself?
How does it go? Yeah, how does it go?
I mean, I lean towards Tom, to be honest with you. I just do. I think being able to work with Tom, just small. I mean, I've got to hold pads for him. I got to work with him, but I spoke to him more and understanding his fight IQ and understanding what he's trying to accomplish. But he has the athleticism to do those things that we speak about. Like right after Jon fought Stipe, Tom called me and he's like, "What'd you see?" And I was like, kind of like, "Well, boom, boom, boom." He's like, saw the same things, da 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 da. But he has the skill set to back that up. I just lean towards Tom and the youth, the athleticism, and the things he's capable of doing. I think he's the new age of heavyweight.
Tom Aspinall recently shared that he has already beaten 6 of the top UFC contenders, and his current goal is to work through the entire top 10. Francis Ngannou still ranks among them, which keeps the door open for a possible matchup between Tom and Ngannou in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how realistic that is, because, see, the heavyweights are a little bit different. First of all, there's not as many of us, especially if you look at the top 10 now. I've beaten 6 of them now. My goal is to beat 10 at the top 10. I want to beat all 10.
During his appearance on Diary of a CEO, Tom expressed excitement about the many big fights ahead. He spoke about staying ready and eager to compete again soon, but didn't mention any specific opponent. In the UFC, plans often change, so he's keeping things open and focusing on what's next.
Who knows? You never know in the heavyweight division. There's a couple of up-and-coming guys who I've not mentioned as well, so there's some good fights to be made over the next couple of years for sure.
If I were to say myself, it'd be great to see you fight Gunn in London or in the UK somewhere as your next fight. Do you have any idea what you're doing next and when you'll be back in the octagon?
I do, but I also want to keep my job, so there's not much I can say on it, to be honest. But yeah,
you fighting this year?
Yeah, I'm going to be fighting hopefully twice this year. That's my plan.
Oh, wow.
At least I think I've wasted enough time now. So we're looking for a quick. We're looking to get a fight booked quick, and it's looking like it's going to be pretty soon anyway.
Earlier, the spotlight was on a potential fight between Tom and Jon Jones. Tom had set his sights on that matchup, but Jon chose to retire. That long build-up without a confirmed opponent left Tom sidelined for the past 12 months, though he stayed consistent with training and preparation.
I think that he's entitled to do whatever he wants, to be honest. I'm not... he's done way more in the sport than I have, so he should do whatever he feels is right. Speaking as just a fighter here, if it was so public, for me personally, I don't know if my ego could take it, having not done it. But that's honestly, that's his prerogative. I don't hold any ill will against him for it, and I'm happy to move on with my career now that it's over, because you got to remember, I've not fought for nearly a year now because of this, and I've been healthy the whole time. I've been in the gym the whole time. I've been doing exactly what I'm supposed to do as a high-level operating athlete at the elite level. So I'm glad that is behind us now.
While the idea of Tom versus Ngannou still floats around, Chael Sonnen believes another name might step in. After seeing Alex Pereira's social media activity, Sonnen thinks Pereira is positioning himself to take on Tom. With Pereira's growing profile, the possibility feels more realistic than ever.
Alex Pereira put out a social media piece on something that kids call Instagram.
And he just took a picture of a scale, himself on a scale, and the number on the scale read 246 pounds. He put that out. So what story is he attempting to tell us? Is he attempting to tell us I'm out of shape? Look how far I've let myself go? I can never be a middleweight again? No, of course not. Not at all. He's attempting to let us know I'm as big as the heavyweights. Well, why would that be relevant? Because he's getting ready to fight Tom Aspinall. That's why that would be relevant. Or he's arguing and fighting and campaigning, trying to fight Tom Aspinall. That's why it would be relevant.
However, Chael Sonnen also believes there's a strong chance that Jailton Almeida could face Tom Aspinall if the Cyril Gane versus Tom matchup doesn't come together. Almeida's grappling heavy style would present a different kind of test, and he's quickly climbing the ranks in the UFC heavyweight division with dominant performances.
Towards Almeida versus Tom, and I lend in that direction for a couple of reasons. Now a third reason being the odds. Now that a mythical line of 4-1 has come out, it is blatantly obvious that you don't want to see that fight. You don't want to see any fight where you are 4 times more sure of the outcome. So here's the problem. Here's the problem with me being too vocal on this, is Almeida did an interview yesterday and Almeida told the truth. And within the interview, he said, I'm the only one speaking up. That's true. But it's also a bit of a problem. Whoever has that fight already has that fight. It just hasn't been revealed to us. If Surreal doesn't have that fight, then it would, in my opinion, pretty obviously go to Jailton Almeida.
Meanwhile, Ariel Helwani outlined a few top contenders for Tom's next bout. He mentioned Cyril Gane, Francis Ngannou, and Jailton Almeida as the strongest options, all capable of delivering a competitive fight and stirring fan interest.
Tom has to win like at least the next 2 or 3.
He needs to show something.
If his next fight is against Cyril Gane, and say he goes out and loses.
Is that the fight?
It has to be, right?
I guess.
But if it's not Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Volkov won that fight, but like, who else is there in the heavyweight? Jailton Almeida, I know he's throwing his hat in the ring.
Yeah, I saw Jailton with the tweet. Shout out to Jailton. I would love to see Jailton get a shot, but I feel like he needs 1 or 2 more to get back in there.
But they need. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think the Curtis Blades loss hurts him, especially with Blades having the most recent loss to Aspinall. I feel like it's.
I just think they need to really, like, when Tom fights, they need to spotlight a few heavyweights that night. You know, whatever they're doing in the title situation. If it's not Ngannou, and we can talk about that later. But if it's Gane.
Just like Chael Sonnen, Ariel believes Alex Pereira could be a strong contender to face Tom Aspinall, especially given Pereira's current heavyweight shape. Still, no matter who Tom is matched with, the focus remains the same. Clear out the division by knocking down as many opponents as possible.
See, on that, start booking these fights, put on showcases, get people excited about people below Tom Aspinall. But honestly, the more I think about it, the fight doesn't really matter who Tom Aspinall is fighting. And put him in there with anyone. The goal is for him to just start knocking them down and knock as many of them down and just become this untouchable heavyweight king, the guy who has the shortest fight time in the octagon, 2.5 minutes, whatever it may be, and become that next star at heavyweight. Whoever it is irrelevant to me.
This division needs Alex Pereira desperately.
Okay, so is there a chance? They haven't booked the Ankalaev fight.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like Pereira wants Ankalaev, but this is the fight to.
Yeah, he posted the thing. He posted the thing on his.
He posted his weight
on the scale. Yeah, he looks like a heavyweight. He weighs like a heavyweight. I saw him on Friday. He's in great shape. He does not look, out of shape at all.
However, Chael Sonnen doesn't believe Cyril Gane will end up fighting Tom Aspinall. He points out that Cyril already lost to Alexander Volkov, someone Tom defeated decisively. Matching Cyril with Tom now doesn't offer much value, and according to Chael, it's not the fight fans or the UFC really want.
The heavyweight title is booked. Surreal is not fighting Tom. I don't think the optics work. If Surreal beats Tom, it makes it very clear that Jon Jones is the guy. Surreal lost to Volkov. He lost the fight to Volkov, he won the decision. And the idea that the UFC's just forgot about that and is going to turn to the rankings, I just don't think it's going to happen. So I'm going to give you the hot take of the day. I'm going to give a take you're not going to get anywhere else. The heavyweight title is booked. Surreal is not fighting Tom. That's a prediction. I don't know it for sure, but I believe it. In fact, I'll go one step further. It's going to be Tom Aspinall versus Jayton Almeida.
Looking further ahead, Tom plans to fight 4 more times by the end of 2026. He's approaching his career with balance, focusing on both performance and personal well-being. He made it clear that he intends to step away from the sport on his own terms, without letting it take a toll on his body or mind.
How long does this journey go on for?
That's a great question. That's probably the toughest question you've asked me today. I don't know, because I want to retire from the sport before it retires me. And as we chatted about before, I've been around a lot of fighters now, and I can see how that wears on the body over time, mentally and physically.
Yeah.
I don't want to get to the spot where it affects my everyday life, and that can happen quite easily. Obviously, I'm carrying my own injuries. I'm a lifetime martial artist. I'm carrying injuries, of course, that are probably going to bother me for the rest of my life, but I don't want to keep bashing my body forever if I can help it.
That's where things stand in the UFC heavyweight mix, with Tom Aspinall at the center of it all. Whether it's Ngannou, Gaine, Pereira, or Almeida, the future looks explosive. But what do you think? Who should Tom face next, and who actually has a chance to stop him? Let us know below.